ओ श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः Sri Vidya, unmute yourself. We chant from shloka number 10. Brahmanyadhaya karmani
ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि
sangam tyaktva karoti yaha
संगं त्यक्त्वा करोति यः
lipyate na sa papena
लिप्यते न स पापेन
padmapatramivambhasa
पद्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा
कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या
कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या
केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि
केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि
योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति
योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति
संगं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये
संगं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये
युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा
युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा
शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम्
शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम्
अयुक्तः कामकारेण
अयुक्तः कामकारेण
फले सक्तो निबध्यते
फले सक्तो निबध्यते
सर्वकर्माणि मनसा
सर्वकर्माणि मनसा
सन्न्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी
सन्न्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी
नवद्वारे पुरे देहि
नवद्वारे पुरे देहि
नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्.
नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्.
Today we will do 14. न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि
न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि
लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः.
लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः.
न कर्मफलसंयोगम्
न कर्मफलसंयोगम्
स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि
न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि
लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः.
लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः.
न कर्मफलसंयोगम्
न कर्मफलसंयोगम्
स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
So in response to Arjuna's question, Bhagavan Sri Krishna now highlights karma yoga, and he says karma yoga is better for you. Karma yogo vishishyate, and then tells why it is important until shloka number 7, and then continues with, after contrasting jnana yoga with karma yoga, and after saying that sannyasa is not that easy, as easy as you think, like that, having said that, and then having highlighted the importance of karma yoga, from 8 onwards, he tells more facts about karma yoga, and then what does one get out of karma yoga. That is the flow till number 12. Okay, so in 11, very beautiful shloka, kevalaihi indriyairapi, we saw all that. Kayena manasa buddhya means a person who is free from anxieties is the one who can really use the free will. Puja Swamiji would say, prayer is the only act where the free will is completely free. All other times we think we have free will, but it is inhibited free will, because of various problems, because of raga dveshas are there, anxiety about the result is there, and starting problem is there, so all kinds of things are there, and inability to decide, confusion, all these things are there, therefore the free will is inhibited. Now half-hearted and all they say, right? So, and so here he says, look at that, kevalaihi kayena manasa buddhya, means the person is free because there is sangam tyaktva, that sangha is not there. What will happen? What will happen? That idea is not there. That I know what I want, but what will come, and will it come? What will happen if it doesn't work out? All these things, the anxiety about those things are not there for this karma yogi. And then shanti mapnoti naishtikim, we saw that. And the last shloka, 13 onwards, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about that wise person. Okay, after karma yoga, then jnana yoga, then what happens? And that wise person is described further from 13 onwards till about 20 or 21. And because jnana yoga is talked about here, we have to recall chapter 2 from 12 onwards till 25 or so. Asocyan anvasocastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasuna gatasomscha nanu sochanti panditaha natve vaham jatu nasam natvan neme janadipaha. So from there, this nature of Atma was talked about. It's a good time to go back to our notes and review those notes. So there Atma was introduced in various, using various words, and Nitya Sarvagata Sthanuhu. So shloka number 24. Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyo shosha evacha Nitya Sarvagata Sthanuhu Achaloyam Sanatanaha. So that Atma is Nityaha, is free from time, is independent of time, okay, is not bound by time. That means what? It is Ajaha, Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Puranaha, Nahanyamane, Nahanyate Hanyamane Sharire. Ajaha, it is unborn. Unborn means doesn't exist. Our idea of unborn means what? Child is not born yet, means child doesn't exist. And it's there in the womb perhaps. And okay, if it is not there in the womb, no, we don't have a child. So child doesn't exist. So ajaha means that which does not exist. That's our idea of ajaha, unborn. But atma is unborn, but it exists. And then na jayate briyate va kadachit. Correct? Na jayate, not born, but it exists and it doesn't die also. Briyate. So atma was described in so many ways. And then avinashi, maybe it won't die, but it will suffer, It is not born and it won't die. It exists. Poor thing, it suffers. Constant, at least my body, I will suffer and I will die away, But the poor atma is just suffering all along. Very sad. No, avinashi, it is not subject to any destruction. Avikaryo yamuchyate, avikaraha means unchanging. And change is constant, right? Change is constant. And these days they invoke that in all corporations, change is constant. So they use that to justify change. But here, look at that. Nirvikaraha, avikaraha. And so Atma is free from change. Therefore, suffering is not possible. Why? Because suffering means change. And so Nirvikara. Then here he's going to talk about in Shloka number 14, Na Kartrutvam Na Karmani. The same idea of Kartrutvam is going to, Bhagavan Krishna is mentioning. And action, whenever you talk of action, action is always accompanied by change. Any action, you think of any action, there is always a change of place is there, movement is there. Somebody is talking, movement, change. Movement means change of position, change of sound bites, change of this, change of temperature, everything, something or the other keeps on changing. Only then you can say action is happening. Even breathing, action, there's always some change, and the energy is being diluted slowly. Even breathing takes energy, so there's always change. So therefore, karma, that action is always defined as vikaratmakam karma in Sanskrit. If you want to make a note of that, vikaratmakam means action is something that whose nature is change. That is the definition of karma, whose nature is change. And so because Atma is like space means the spatiality. Space means spatiality, not air or vacuum or things like that. Space means that which accommodates. Space is infinite, and space cannot be polluted. There can be anything in the air, and air can be there, air need not be there. If air is there, air can be polluted, air need not be polluted. But space is space, unpolluted. And so like that, Atma is like that. So Atma is nirvikaraha, free from action. And therefore, na kartrutvam in the shloka number 14 that we are studying now, na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu. So look at the verb here. Srijati is the verb in the first line. Srijati creates, produces. And who creates? Prabhu. Prabhu srijati. Prabhu. Here Prabhu does not refer to Krishna, does not refer to Vishnu, does not refer to Brahmaji creates and all that. It refers to Atma. Prakarshena bhavati iti Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu. Atma. Because the topic here is Atma. So Prabhu srijati. Atma creates. Atma creates. Okay. What does it create? Na kartrutvam. Atma does not create any doership in the person. Because Atma is nirvikaraha, it is akarta. Therefore, Atma cannot create kartrutvam, doership. Na karmani, no doership, therefore no actions. Atma cannot act. Atma is not subject to action. And therefore, I can say, I am akarta. I am not a doer. Correct? And for whom? Lokasya. Lokasya. Lokasya means purushasya. Here, loka is not world. Here, loka means purushaha, person. For that person, for any person, Atma cannot create action. Atma is not subject to action. Okay? Atma doesn't say. It doesn't say also, come on, do this, do that. Feel this, feel that. Get angry, get depressed, get disappointed. No, Atma cannot do all that. Previous shloka also we saw. Na kurvan, na karayan. Correct? Was that the previous shloka? Yeah. Navadvare pure dehi. Naiva kurvan na karayan. Atma cannot be doing and Atma cannot make others do also. And so here, kartrutvam na srijati, karmani na srijati, does not create. And that sentence ends with na karma phala samyogam. You can put a full stop after that. Na karma phala samyogam. That is where the sentence ends. First sentence in this 2-sentence shloka. Okay. Na karma phala yogam srijati. Neither does it create a connection with the results of action. Every action produces results. But for Atma, there is no connection with the results. Atma cannot be connected with the results, even though in the presence of Atma, actions happen. In the presence of Atma, there is free will. In the presence of Atma, results are there. In the presence of Atma, the human being has emotions and everything. All that happens. So, na karma phala samyogam. And so look at this. And the next sentence. So then how come all these actions are happening? Without action, there is no world, there is no life, nothing. Action. From the minute you wake up, you're aware of your activities. And so how come these actions are happening? And so, swabhavaha tu pravartate. Swabhavaha. That is the nature. That is the nature of all these organs that we have. The body is endowed with wonderful set of organs, senses. So, jnana, indriyani, we call it in Sanskrit. There's 5 sense organs. The mind, manaha, buddhi, and of course, karmendriya, organs of actions like the limbs. So, what is their nature? Their nature is to act. And we saw that last time also. Guna guneshu vartante. Correct? And where did we see that? Back in the 3rd chapter, 28. These are also important shlokas. So whenever we go back and refer to a shloka, generally it refers to when we talk about the important shlokas in any chapter, then we will generally be referring to those shlokas. So tattva vittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sajjati. Correct? So that was 3rd chapter, 28th shloka. So guna guneshu vartante. These sense organs and these organs, they operate in their fields, respective worlds, and they cannot but operate. Eyes are open. Objects are there. The eyes are not defective. Okay, they are functional. And the mind is also available behind the eyes. Sight has to take place. You cannot tell your eyes, keep your eyes open and don't see. It's not possible. Why it's not possible? Why it is not possible? It's not possible because it is the nature of the eyes to see. And so that is why when we meditate, we do this all the time. We consciously think about this, which is hearing takes place. Somebody would say that hearing takes place. There are sounds, there are noises, vehicles moving, this and that, birds are chirping, everything. Hey, you are sitting there. Are you willfully hearing these sounds? No, you're not willfully hearing. You're simply sitting. That's all. You're just observing the whole world. Whole world you're observing. And sounds, you're hearing sounds. You are hearing sounds. Are you an actor? Are you a hearer? Swamiji wants us to see in that meditation that you are not really a hearer. Hearing takes place. You're not a hearer because you're not using your free will. Correct? Not using your free will. Even though I say, I heard this, I heard that, etc., I say, but without using free will, you heard these things. Okay? So there is a beauty to that that has to be appreciated here. Atma is not a hearer. Atma is not a seer. Pashyan, Shrinman, Sprishan, Jigran. So doing all those activities, Pashyan, looking, seeing, Shrinman, hearing. And then what does he say? Pashyan, Shrinman, Sprishan, Jigran, Ashnan, etc. Indriyani, Indriyartheshu Vartante. Just a few shlokas ago, number 9. Indriyani, Indriyartheshu Vartante. The sense organs will play in their respective fields, grabbing the respective objects. Eyes will do nothing but keep reporting to you what is out there. So that's how things happen. And Atma is uninvolved in this. Okay. So that is the message here. And so let's see the shloka. Na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma phala samyogam, full stop, swabhavastu pravartate. So swabhavaha, it is their nature to engage in the way they engage. Okay, so let's see the translation. Atma, that is Prabhu, creates srijati, neither doership, na kartrutvam, neither doership nor action. Na karmani, nor actions. For any person, lokasya, nor the connection with the results of action. So nor does Atma create the connection between action and result, or between the so-called doer and the results of action. Atma creates neither doership nor action for any person, nor the connection with the results of action. Full stop. But one's own nature, swabhavaha, leads to action, pravartate. So we have to carefully understand this. It's not like our organs are just let loose and then they're doing whatever they want to do. No, we are very much in control of our body. Okay, that's because we decide what you want to do, where you want to do, what you want to eat. Everything you decide on everyday basis. It's not like they're just running away like the 5 children. 5 senses, 5 children. Imagine a house with 5 children. It'll be a great house, I think. And they run around and parents may not like it, but grandparents will like it, will love it very much. And so great house. And so they are just running around, and finally when they are hungry, they'll have to come back home. Finally, they'll come back home because they need food. And so like these children running around, our sense organs and everything are gone or what? No, they're not. So we should not assume that from the shloka. It appears like that, but we have to be careful because there is a free will. There is a person who decides how to use all this. And I am a body. Yeah, I wake up now. Now I have a plan. And I have a plan, or I may not have a plan, that's fine, but I am willfully doing things. Okay. So that's how everything, that's why a person is called yuktaha. So many times this word has come, yuktaha. And even if a person is not a yuktaha, still the person knows what to do. What am I going to eat today? Am I going to I'm going to this ice cream parlor or that ice cream parlor? That's his conflict, and so it's okay. And so therefore we should be careful how you interpret this. And but also remember that from our perspective, ajnanam, therefore limitedness, idea that I am limited, and therefore ragadveshas will be there. Therefore artha kama become very important. Artha is so important. I have to make myself secure because I am insecure. And then therefore karma will come into play. No point having a desire without the ability to fulfill the desire. Desire is there but no way to fulfill it. That is a problem in creation, defect in the creation. So nobody is born like that. So desire, ability to fulfill the desire. And then what? Then karma phalam is there. Karma phalam, adrishta phalam, drishta phalam. Adrishta phalam, again punyam papam, again punarjanma, etc. That cycle is going on and on. This is how our shastra presents our life. And here Krishna is saying that you look into yourself, look into Atma first. Atma is complete and full. Therefore, you don't have to look for security. You're already secure. That is what the Shastram is saying. Correct? And so be careful how you interpret this. So because of the lack of viveka, that lack of knowledge of Atma, I superimpose all the attributes of my body and what I possess. I am so and so, I am wealthy, I am not wealthy, I am inadequate, I am not knowledgeable, I am illiterate. All those are projected on myself. On myself, the body doesn't care that it is fat or thin. Body doesn't complain at all. But who complains? The guy, the dehi, the one who owns this body, that person says, the body is fat, the body is thin, the body is sick. Body doesn't worry if it is sick, but I am the one who worries if the body is sick. But then I say, I am sick. And saying I am sick, there is no problem. But Atma is sick and Atma is going to die. That is where the problem is. Correct? So, Krishna repeatedly reminds us that is not the case. And so, Krishna discusses in the next shloka, which we are going to chant now. Let's see what that is. Okay. Who would like to? Narayan and Meera. Yeah, after that, Bhagyashree, you can do. Nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha nadate kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu ajnanena vritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. So continuing that argument, This karma phala samyogam is being highlighted here. So that karma phalam is there, and Atma is not a karta. But then Atma might suffer because Atma doesn't do anything sitting quietly. But this guy is running loose, and then he's gaining a lot of papan, punyam also a little bit here and there. And so Atma is now worried. And this papam, at least I thought I'll be sitting quietly and doing nothing. But then there's a lot of pap. So here he says, Na adate kasyachit pap. Nobody's papam will stick to this Atma. Adate, adanam means to take. To take. Atma does not take anybody's papa. Okay. That is, who does not take? Vibhuhu. Like Prabhuhu in the previous shloka, here we have Vibhuhu. Krishna is just playing with words. Vibhuhu. Vibhuhu means all pervasiveness, in the sense of all pervasiveness. Vibhuhu. And so that all pervasive Atma na adate does not take what? Kasyachit papa. Anybody's papa, nobody's papa it will take. And then what about punyam? It loves punyam, does it not? No, nachaiva sukrutam. Sukrutam means punyam. Sukritam, sushtukritam. So punyam. And so nachaiva sukrutam. No, punyam also will not touch Atma. Okay. And it's fantastic. And so this at least should help, people who are given to wrong deeds and all that. Sometimes when they hear this, it should make them feel good. Because, oh my God, that means I'm not. I have 5 cases stacked against me. And so that means I really did not do anything. So this guy goes to the court and he stands in front of the judge. And so he musters the courage. He says, Judge, your lordship, and Atma is not a doer, not a karta. Na kasyachit papam, nacha sukrutam vibhuhu. And so therefore, I really did not do anything, any of these crimes. Then the judge looks at him. The judge also has studied Bhagavad Gita. So the judge says, I'm very impressed, my dear friend. Very impressed. And yes, correct. Atma na kasyachit papam sajjate, and then nachaiva sukritam. No punyam, no papam. Very true. And in fact, Atma never committed any of the 5 murders that people are waiting now. And we are discussing only one of the 5. And so no, Atma did not do anything. You are perfectly correct. That is why we are going to only imprison your body. You Atma we can't imprison. So your body only is free, as you have said very much. So you have no problem. So fantastic. This is a great attitude to have. If all criminals had this attitude, our job would be so simple. This is what the judge said. So sometimes this argument can be taken, and so we need to give them the credit at the same time. Show them their blind spot, as it were. So then if Atma is free from punyam and papam, then how come people think, I did this, I did that, I accomplished this, I did not do this, I'm guilty of this, I am hurt because somebody said this. Why people are like this? If we ask, then Krishna says, Ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. He is referring to human beings as jantu. Some of you may have heard the word jantu. Jantu generally we use for animals. Jantu, ye kya jantu hai? And if the fellow behaves like an animal also, we use the word jantu. That also. So jantu. So meaning of jantu is punaha punaha jayate iti jantu. The person is that jiva is born again and again. Therefore, a jantu. And that's the literal meaning of the word jantu. And so Krishna wants choosing to use that word for people at large. And he says, Jantavaha muhyanti. They are deluded. They are confused. They are deluded. Why they are deluded? Ajnanena avrutam jnanam. Okay. So avrutam is covered. Covered. What is covered? Jnanam is covered. Jnanam is covered. So therefore, knowledge is there. That's why we say in our Shastram, very important. Knowledge is never created. And so knowledge always exists. And what happens is there is a cover. Knowledge is covered. Like the clouds are covering the sun and it appears to be dark. Really, it is not dark. Really, the sun is shining. But once the clouds move away, then the sun becomes, the brightness of the sun shows up. And here, ajnanena avritam. So that jnanam is covered, avritam, by ajnanam, ajnanena. That is what he's saying, Krishna is saying here. And so we have to recall verse number 27 from chapter 3. What is that? Chapter 3, if you look up. And prakritehe kriyamanani, prakritehe kriyamanani, gunaih karmani sarvashah, ahankara vimudhatma, kartahamiti manyate. So this vimudhatma, this person superimposes the qualities of the body, qualities of the senses, qualities of all the mind and the intellect on the Atma and considers himself, herself to be a Karta. Karta aham iti manyate. 327. I think it is third chapter. Let me see. Yeah, correct. So, ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So, takes on everything. And if the person were a dharmic person, dharma, you see why dharma is so important. When dharma becomes very important for a person, then the person will not be ready to put up with a lot of inconveniences. Correct? Lot of inconveniences. This is how it is, what to do. But I am not going to let go. I am not going to cut corners. And so that itself frees the person from all the problems. And because why putting up with inconvenience means what? It means that person really is pretty good. Is only his superimposition is not as much as it is for other people. Because otherwise that inconvenience is very big. That is why I will cut corners. Because I cannot stand that inconvenience. You see that? And therefore, there is a connection there. So that's why dharma has to play a very important role in our life. And so that person, ahankara vimudhatma, we saw. And here also, that ajnanena. Why that ahankara? That is here, he explains here as ajnanena avritam jnanam. And Nadatte kasichit papam. So in Nirvana Shatkam, we know that. Na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukkham. Correct? Na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukkham. Na mantro na mantro na tirtham. Correct? So na vedaha na yajnaha. Like that there is that shloka in. So na punyam na papam. So that shivoham. Chidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham. So that we can recall here. Nadate Kasyachit Papam. So let's translate the shloka here. Atma takes Vibhuhu Adatte. Vibhuhu Adatte. Atma takes neither Papam nor Punyam. Papam na chaiva sukrutam. Atma takes neither papam nor punyam of anyone, kasyachit, of anyone, kasyachit. Full stop. Knowledge is covered, jnanam avritam. Jnanam avritam. Knowledge is covered by ignorance, ajnanena, by ignorance. And due to that, tena, that means within brackets ignorance, and due to that ignorance, people are deluded. Jantavaha muhyanti. Knowledge is covered by ignorance, and due to that ignorance, people are deluded. So the diagnosis is over. Diagnosis. What is the diagnosis? Oh, there is something called ignorance. And there is, of course, Atma. Atma doesn't, Atma is a non-actor, you know. And here they talk about non-state actors. But Atma is just not an actor at all. And Akarta. And so knowing full well that nature of Atma has to be known, and that knowledge, jnanam, is avritam, ajnanena, is covered by ignorance. Then what is the solution? Once the diagnosis is done, the doctor has to decide what kind of medicines to give. You know, I when I visit a doctor, and with my parents, whatever, and once the symptoms are mentioned, and the doctor diagnoses first. He explains what's going on, and he looks at all the tests, and then I kind of see how he responds. And once, I mean, many times, I mean, our physician is extremely good. He's the ex-president of the Indian Medical Association of Coimbatore, and they've gotten awards. This IMA of Coimbatore has gotten national awards, etc., for their service to the community, for their charity work and things like that. And this man is just too good. He has this sixth sense for everything, and he will look at stuff, and he has some way to just tell exactly what's going on and explain to you. And he will explain to you in a way that you understand. He has some models of the stomach and all these things. So he will show, look, this is the stomach. When you lie down, then the phlegm will go up this way. All that he will explain. And so that regurgitation happens. So first you have to address the acidity. Then only we have to look at other solutions. Like that he will explain, and then he will write something. And sometimes he takes a little longer to write. I noticed that. And he's talking, but he's thinking. I know he's thinking. And then he writes 2 or 3 medicines. And then we have a dialogue about what is this medicine, etc. So it's a joy to see. You kind of have to go along with the doctor. And if a doctor cooperates, then it's, it becomes a nice exercise for us also. And so here, what is the solution? Can we get by with medicines and physical therapy, or the knee pain requires some kind of a surgery? That is the question. So let's chant this next shloka, number 16. Yeah, Bhavani. Oh, Bhagyashree ji. Okay, I forgot. Huh? So next time we'll go with Bhageshi. Okay. All right. So Bhavani, if you can hang on, okay? Bhageshri is there.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, now you can unmute yourself. Jnanena tu
ज्ञानेन तु
tadajnanam
तदज्ञानम्
yesham nashitam
येषां नाशितम्
atmanah
आत्मनः
tesham
तेषाम्
adityavat jnanam
आदित्यवज्ञानम्
prakashayati
प्रकाशयति
tatparam
तत्परम्
ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानम्
ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानम्
येषां नाशितमात्मनः
येषां नाशितमात्मनः
तेषाम् आदित्यवत् ज्ञानम्
तेषामादित्यवज्ञानम्
प्रकाशयति तत्परम्
प्रकाशयति तत्परम्.
So if ajnanena avritam jnanam, that Krishna had mentioned in the previous shloka, the knowledge is covered by ignorance. That is the way he has presented it. And so what is the solution? So jnanena tu tad ajnanam nashitam. Removed, destroyed, eliminated. What is eliminated? Nashitam. Ajnana. Tad ajnana. That ajnanam, which I mentioned in the previous shloka, nashitam, removed. By what? By jnana. So, ajnana. So, the view here is ajnanam, ignorance, is not absence of knowledge, but ignorance is something that is exists but opposed to knowledge. Okay, it's a technical distinction which we can make a note of now, which is absence of knowledge. Absence of something cannot create a problem. Only presence of something creates a problem. That's the general idea here. And so ajnanam here is not absence of knowledge, but it exists as long as there is no knowledge. Absence of knowledge exists, okay, until knowledge takes place. That is the way to look at it. And that is why that ajnanam, like darkness. Darkness, you can say, is absence of light, but darkness does exist. That is why you say it is dark. If darkness does not exist, you can't say it is dark, correct? You can't say it is dark. You are able to perceive darkness. And so, like that here, ajnanam, just like darkness can be removed by light, and only by light. Nothing else can remove darkness. Nobody can suggest do pranayama, do yogasana for 10 minutes, become quiet, okay? Chant Vishnu Sahasranamam for half an hour, then light will come. Yeah, eventually light will come. You know why? Because if you keep on chanting, the sun also is moving around. So eventually some brightness will come. But you can't remove the darkness by any karma, any action. Okay, same way here also. Ajnanam being what it is, only jnanam. And jnanam of what, if we ask? Atma Jnanam cannot remove the ignorance of Chinese language that I have in my head. Okay, I don't know Chinese other than one or two sentences. Ni hao, they say. Ni hao means how are you? That is the only word, only sentence I know. And so the Atma Vidya cannot remove the ignorance of Chinese knowledge. So knowledge also has to be specific to what the ignorance is about. And so that is why. And so no amount of karma can remove knowledge, remove ignorance. So avirodhitaya karma. So Narasimha brought up that in the satsang, that shloka, Atma Bodha, avirodhitaya karma, na vidyam vinivartayet. Shankara says in Atma Bodha. Karma is unopposed to ignorance of the self. Karma, action, is unopposed. In fact, karma is caused by ignorance. Therefore, it is unopposed. That which is a product of something cannot be opposed to that something. Correct? That is what it is. Avirodhitaya karma na vidyam vinivartayet. Vidya vidyam nihantyeta. Only thing that can remove avidya, ignorance, is vidya, knowledge. Okay. Tejas timira sanghavat. Like light alone can remove darkness. Like that Shankara says in that shloka. And so here, Atma Jnanam alone can remove that Atma Ajnanam. Okay. So here, because he does qualify Jnanam, Atmanaha Ajnanam, he says. Atmanaha is the last word. Nashitam Atmanaha. Atmanaha means of Atma. What of Atma? Ajnanam, ignorance of Atma, can only be removed by knowledge of Atma. Okay. Okay. Tesham Adityavat Jnanam. So now he is comparing that knowledge. Okay. Adityavat. It is like the sun. Adityavat. Aditya is sun. Bhaskaravat. Suryavat. Arkavat. Hiranyagarbhavat. Okay. So Adityavat. Vat means like. So that jnanam is like the sun. Okay. Like the sun means what? Means as the sun rises, darkness rolls away. Darkness moves away and retreats. And just like that, as knowledge rises, ignorance goes away. Okay. And not only does darkness go away when sun rises, but it also illuminates everything else in its way. Correct? Illuminates everything else. And so here also, prakashayati, he says. Prakashayati means what? Illuminates, reveals. Okay. Reveals objects. And what does it reveal here? Tat param. Tat param. That Brahma, param here means Brahma. Brahma. That Brahman, it reveals. It reveals. So, it reveals Atma. Now, it reveals Atma means if we take it literally, what we will think is Atma is revealed only with knowledge. Knowledge can reveal Atma. That's what we will think. Well, Atma already exists. I know I am Atma. Atma is very much there. And if somebody asks, do you exist? You can't say, I will check with my spouse. Okay. Hey, what spouse? Which spouse? I'll check with my spouse. No, I'll check with my husband, wife. Okay. But you don't have to get her permission to decide if you exist or not. The question is, do you exist? Yes, I exist. Well, that I is Atma. Okay. Therefore, Atma, to reveal that I exist, we don't need self-knowledge. Atma Jnanam is not needed. So what does this knowledge reveal? Adityavat Jnanam, when he says, and Prakashayati, when he says, it illuminates, it reveals what? It reveals that Atma is Brahma. The Atma, that I know I exist, is Brahma. Brahma is Jagat Karanam. It is the cause of the world and it pervades the world. That Karanam, that Brahma is me. I am not ordinary. I am Nitya Sarvagata Sthanuhu. Correct? Sarvagata means all pervasive. All pervasive is not an ordinary thing. And that is why this knowledge is not ordinary. All pervasive means I fill this world. Purna Madaha Purna Midam. Correct? I fill this world. I must be able to see it. That is why this Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, all these things are there. So that the Jnanam, so Karma Yoga, then Jnanam, then Jnana Nishtha. Nishtha means, yes, my clarity is improved to such an extent that it is very obvious to me. As obvious as I see the rope. I was seeing the snake, but now I see the rope. It's so obvious to me. Correct? So Tat Param, that Brahma, it reveals that my nature, Atma, is that Brahma. Okay. Atma Tat Param iti prakashayati. That is a way to, if you want to write some words there. Atma Tat Param iti prakashayati. It reveals. Because nobody needs to tell me I exist. I already know I exist. Correct? So, okay. So now let's look at this shloka. Whereas for those yesham, for those whose ignorance of the self, atmanaha ajnanam, tu yesham atmanaha ajnanam, whereas for those whose ignorance of the self is destroyed by knowledge, jnanena nashitam. Jnanena nashitam. I hope you're following the Anvaya here, Sanskrit. Whereas for those whose ignorance of the self is destroyed by knowledge, comma, the knowledge reveals. Jnanam prakashayati. Jnanam prakashayati. Second line in the middle. The knowledge reveals that Brahma, Tat Param. And then you have to say that knowledge reveals within brackets the self as that Brahma. The self as that Brahma. Because we are talking about a Mahavakyam, an equation. Okay. The knowledge reveals the self as that Brahman, comma, like the sun, Adityavat. Like the sun, Adityavat. Like the sun, that's all it says. So within brackets you have to add, like the sun reveals objects previously covered in darkness. Like the sun reveals objects previously covered in darkness. Okay. We'll conclude now. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.